You have created a monster and will destroy you.
She's alive! Alive!
I am Dracula.
Welcome, friends, to another episode of Monster Manor. It is an extreme honor for me to introduce you to this gentleman. We have seen his face literally all over the place, from Lost to the Rob Zombie films, everywhere. But he's also a great Monsterkid. So it's my honor to introduce you guys to Mr. Daniel Roebuck.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody.
Oh my gosh, this is such an honor to have you on. And you have been a favorite actor in our household for many, many years in so many different roles that you've played. And if for the viewers out there, look at his IMDb page, his Internet Movie Database page, because there's credits all over the place. And they're all movies that you've seen. But as I was saying before, Daniel, this show we kind of get behind the roles. And I know from watching you on Facebook and all of the stuff behind the scenes, you're huge into monsters, and that's what this show is about. And one thing that we can deal with in this world, in the time that we're living, monsters, they never turn on us, right?
They're always there for us. Isn't that funny? They terrify everyone else, but to us, it's like,
it's comfort food. Absolutely. So your love of monsters goes back to when? When do you think that first started?
Well, I believe that I spent a lot of time as a child watching Universal horror movies in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And I'd say my first memory of watching them is from the night, I'd be about 6 years old, 7 years old. And at some point in that time, I finally realized that the guy who was playing Frankenstein is also like Dr. Neiman, who's like Dr. Frankenstein in a movie just another few movies a few weeks later. So I started realizing they were actors playing parts. And that's kind of what sucked me into the whole thing, all that transformation.
So it was, see, that's an interesting perspective, because for you looked at the actor being, that they were so many different roles, and it was part of the contract playing back in the day. For me, it was a similar thing, but for me, it was, I needed to find out who Jack Pierce was. And that kind of led me into doing the makeup and the special effects.
Your thing. Well, what's behind me, these are actually my horror makeup kits from my youth. Those are the ones that I had. Didn't your life change?
Beautiful.
With this?
Oh, yes.
And this? And everybody was in, and all of a sudden you can make yourself something else. I was definitely drawn into how did they do that. Look, we all should be completely grateful to Forey Ackerman for giving us all the information when we were kids as who knew who Jack Pierce was? A bunch of 13-year-old boys. Would he have ever known that so many people knew who he was? Would he ever believe how valued he is to all of us who love this stuff? He was, by all indications, not a pleasant, happy person generally. But maybe it would make him happy to know that some guy who stars in movies has a life-size version of him in my house.
Yes. Well, he's definitely a hero to the right group of people. Like you, I grew up fascinated by what he did, and you know, he was of an era where they weren't celebrated like they are now. Jack Pierce, Bud Westmore, Millicent Patrick, all the guys that we idolized, they were kind of silent. Even Millicent Patrick, when she got a little bone thrown at her because she was the beauty behind the beast, that was kind of taken away from her. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, I know there's a book that recounts that. I mean, simply we can't overlay 21st century ideology on the past.
Oh
Millicent
yeah.
Patrick worked for Bud Westmore, the head of the makeup department,
Mhm.
got the credit. That's just how it was. And it's not so
Right.
different. Rick Baker gets the credit for The Grinch, but he didn't do every Who in The Grinch. You know, all these other
Right.
great makeup artists came in and gave him a hand. That's just how it is. Anyway, Millicent Patrick, I know we like to be, we're all mad that she didn't get the credit, but it wasn't that she didn't get the credit. Neither did Chris Mueller,
Right.
or Jack Keevan, or the other guys who worked on it. The credit went to the guy who was the head of the department. And that's,
Mhm.
by the way, when we talk about, we talk about a great fight in World War II. You credit Patton for the fight. You don't credit all the poor guys who had to shoot and die for the
Right.
battle. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's
Well, he definitely led the department.
Yeah, but
And he revolutionized special effects, makeup especially. It just wasn't practical anymore. The artistry that Jack Pierce took with creating all of the Universal monsters up until the 50s, was that really practical moving forward? Could they have done that and stayed in budget and stayed in time? So in a way, Bud Westmore, well, not in a way, he did. He brought them into a new generation, into a new kind of way of doing things
yeah,
cheaper, quicker, and more efficiently.
They used to make the Model T car one way, and then
Yep.
they make the Ford you buy now a different way because things change. As a makeup artist, I mean, once the the Bow brothers created foam latex, all bets were off.
Mhm.
Jack Pierce, it took him 8 hours to put makeup on Boris Karloff, and I guess in the day they were like, well, it looks pretty good, it's worth it. There's nobody's gonna, a 9-hour makeup is extremely rare, and I don't even think, there's maybe me and 6 other people would be like, I want to be in makeup for 9 hours. Actors are like, what? I've got to hashtag myself. I don't have time to sit in a makeup room.
Yeah.
Me, I'm like, bring that on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there are those of us that love it, love the smell of the alcohol paints, love the smell of the solvents and the glues and everything.
And the
brings us back to a
Prozac,
different time.
man. Yeah, I love the smell of the glue, because when I smell the glue, I know I'm in makeup. I don't mind the tugging and the rubbing and the pulling. I pulled some pictures just because these are some early that's Wolfman.
Oh my gosh.
I love these square pictures. Whatever version of Frankenstein that was. By the way, this is why I'm an actor, not a makeup man. I think I'm wearing the same shirt. Am I wrong about this? That's the same shirt.
Oh my God.
Now, by the way, I get people yell at me that I always wear black clothes. Look at this. That's the exact same shirt.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was in a circus, Scott, when I was 12 years old. That was my first professional job as a performer. But I was a vampire clown. I'm wearing a baseball uniform because we had a baseball routine, and my mother must have shot this before I went to do the baseball routine. I'd always send in pictures to Famous Monsters. They never printed them. My room when I was a kid. Is there any surprise? This is the room I live in. And this is, it looks like when I was about 15 or 16, that's what my room looked like. That's not me. That was Linda Ammond, who I was madly in love with.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we could have been like really close friends
Yeah,
back
we'd
then.
be best buddies. We'd be
That
like,
was
"Look,
my
we picked each other up."
that was definitely my room. Oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and nothing changes. And then
Yeah.
I think when I was a
Except
kid,
maybe the size of our toys, because we didn't have life-size monsters back
yeah,
then.
if we could have. So then this now this looks like Superman, right?
Hmm.
But this is the doll that really got me thinking about transformation, because this is Captain Action. This was a doll, and you would
Right.
get the costume, and you would put the costume on the doll. These are new versions, but we had some when we were kids.
Oh, right.
Get
Right.
the costume. Now, anybody, I'm 58. I had to ask my wife the other day, am I 58 or 59? Because I had a birthday 2 days ago, and she told me I was 58. But transformation has always been a key component of the things that entertain me, and the things that And I mean, you had a doll, and then you had a Superman doll. What more would you
Right.
want? I have a whole
Right.
collection of these Captain Actions too, that I still have.
Yeah, they were fantastic. And I mean, nowadays, I wish they had more toys like that. They tried, I guess it was maybe late 80s, early 90s with the
Max
Max
Effect.
Effects.
Yeah, Max.
Of course, I had to get that. I was
Yeah.
crushed that they didn't actually produce the other ones in that series, because they had a great Freddy, but of course, that's what killed the line. Maybe if they would have led with Frankenstein.
But what if they ever tracked down? There was a guy back then who sold everybody the salesman samples of the Dracula and the Frankenstein, but it was a
Yeah.
scam. And every one of us bought them. And some
Oh,
guy,
wow.
I'd like to figure out who that guy is. And then I'd like to make him watch episodes of Barney for 10 years as punishment.
Yes. Man, so we see what inspired you. And now we know what it was that kind of bit you to get you to want to do that. Now, obviously, you have been working for a very long time in the industry. We've seen you forever and ever. I was doing some research, and I saw that one of your earliest mentors you actually had a chance to work with.
Oh,
Or at
yeah.
least someone that mentored you, childhood hero, Andy Griffith.
Oh, yeah.
What was that experience like? I mean, because he was a king. When I was a kid, that was my pastime too, watching the Andy Griffith show and all of its iterations. And then, of course, Matlock.
Mayberry, RFD. And
Yeah.
so I don't know. I mean, it was 3 of the greatest years of my life. I don't know how else to say it. Scott, I'm a very blessed person. I mean, it is true of all of us. God loves all of us, but maybe He knows that I'm one of those people who need proof. So He makes sure He goes, all right. Here's Andy Griffith for 3 years, and I didn't just get Andy Griffith as, I don't know, I wouldn't say we were friends. Obviously, we were friends, but we were co-workers. Andy Griffith would come to me in the morning, and he'd say, Danny, make this funny. And he'd give me the scene. He'd say, what are we going to do? And I'd say, well, I don't know. Could we, what if we ate a sandwich? And then we'd do a routine where, I'd be pulling the stuff off the sandwich that I don't want to eat. He'd be putting it on his sandwich. But in the meantime, we do all the exposition. I found him to be an extraordinary person to work beside and to learn beside. I've been able to work next to some, my biography should be, the guy who stood next to the guy, because I'm standing next to Andy Griffith. I'm standing next to Tommy Lee Jones, standing next to Harrison Ford, standing next to Kathy Bates. I don't mind being the guy who stands next to the guy. I don't have to be the guy who they're standing next to. Sometimes I am. Sometimes I star in the movie, and that's great too. But I love the experiences that I've had. Andy was extraordinary. People think he was Andy of Mayberry, and he was not that. He was a very smart performer. He was intuitive and extraordinarily tuned in to what made something authentic and organic and funny.
Well, you nailed it, because the thing is whatever he was in, and I see that in your roles as well. Um, it's so believable. You believe every moment, everything about that character. I loved your character on Lost. The teacher was a cool character because I couldn't identify with some of the other people, but I could identify with the teacher. I could identify with, the characters that you portray. They're very honest. They're very real.
Dr. Art. Well, here's a story about Lost. They didn't tell me who I was playing. They just said, we're putting you on Lost, and we're going to kill you in the 3rd episode. I was like, okay. I never seen the show. So I see the show the night before I go. I land in Hawaii on a Sunday. They were rerunning it on that Sunday night, and I watched it. And I thought, wow, look at these great looking people. They're so attractive. I see why they've hired me to be on this show, because I'm an attractive, great looking man. And then Steve Laporte, the makeup guy, Scott, I go in there. Now I know Steve for years because, we just know each other. And he starts putting mud on me and grease and dirt in my, fake, and the wardrobe people were covering me with dirt. And I was like, what? I thought I got to be good looking guy here. No, I was there for one reason only, to prove that other schmoes were on that island.
But those you could believe, those schmoes, I can always identify more with the side characters than the main characters. Oh, there he is.
Dr. Arst.
How many people can say that too? They have a bobblehead.
And you want to hear a story? I have a good story about why this exists. Do you want to hear it?
Yes, please.
So here's a story. It's funny that I have all this stuff just handy. So they were doing a Lost auction right after Lost went off the air, and it was Joe Mandalena. He's a smart guy. He has profiles in history. That's his company. They're very good people. They do great auctions, and I was like the celebrity who did the first. I opened the auction, and so they had all these Lost vendors there, and they had the nodding head vendor, Whiz Bang Pow, I think, and so they were excited to meet me. I was excited to meet them, and they had like a bobblehead of the head of the Dharma Initiative. He's an Asian gentleman in a lab coat. And I was like, well, who buys that? Gynecologist? I mean, doesn't say it. It's just a guy. I said, why don't you do Dr. Arst? People hated Dr. Arst, or they loved him, but mostly they hated him. And they were like, well, we're putting out the next line is coming out. If Walt Disney Studios says that we could use you, we'll do it. And I said, who at Walt Disney Studios? And they gave me a name. And so I called the Walt Disney phone number the Monday, and I said, I'm calling for this person. I won't say her name, but I still remember it. And she got on the phone when it was explained who I was. And I said, so, they're doing these nodders. And boy, I would love to be a nodder. I mean, it would be so great. And she was like, she was so flummoxed. She was so sweet. She goes, wait a minute. Are you? She goes, I get calls. If I get a call from an actor, it's because they're mad that we made a toy of them. You want to be a toy? I said, I want to be a toy so bad. And she goes, okay. Be careful what you wish for. So that's how I became a nodder.
So is that the only toy that you have ever been commemorated in?
Toy, I've been a mask. Bump in the Night did Dr. Shocker mask. They did Dr. Shocker and Igor. I'm also excited. I held that up. Because I consider this part of I mean, this is unbelievable. This just came out. That's me from Jedi Fallen Order. On this living series of the Star Wars cards.
Yes.
I wish I had that with me. Did I bring it in here? No. I mean, I still have my cards from 1977, Scott.
Yes. Yes.
So like I consider like that. I collected cards. I collected masks. I collect toys. I wish they would do some. I was saddened that they didn't do a toy of Greaseritis yet. Maybe that's
Mm.
coming. But they
Yeah,
did a
that's
lot of
the thing
toys,
with
even
with
on Grim.
Hasbro. There is always that chance, at least.
They did that
Oh,
card on Grim. That's neat.
yeah.
I mean, look at me. I'm sitting here in a room. Behind me is the makeup stuff I had from a kid when I was a kid, and I mean, I get to be this guy in a movie, and I mean, come
Mm.
on, that's so great.
It's surreal. I
It's surreal.
mean, so have you had any of those moments where you had to pinch yourself on set? Was that
Every
one of
what are
them,
you talking
or
about? Every day, Scott. I'm an idiot from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. That I got
yeah,
on one set is a miracle. That I got on 350 is extraordinary or more. I
yeah,
don't even know. They don't really list. When they count Matlock, they say Matlock. That's one. I was in 60 Matlocks. You know what I
yeah,
mean? On IMDb.
episodic television?
So, so every moment is a moment where I see how lucky I am. And I mean, even playing Jay Leno in The Late Shift,
Yes.
they sat down. They were like, it's going to be 4 hours of makeup. I was like, is that all?
Yeah.
Come on. Why don't we all work a little harder? Let's make it 5 hours.
Wow. Yeah, and that had its share of controversy back in the day. What was that like working on that and kind of
Well, there was
living
no
history
controversy.
while?
Yeah, no controversy while we were shooting it. It all happened afterwards. There's a
Oh,
very
yeah.
interesting article people can look up. I think it's on my Facebook page. A gentleman named Ethan Alter wrote a very lovely article for Yahoo because the Late Shift is 25 years ago already. And, I recount all of it there. I will say here again, I was blessed that I got to play the nice guy, because David Letterman was cruel to the excellent actor who played him. David Letterman should have kissed that guy's butt for being such a great actor, and he was a jerk to him. So I've no respect for David Letterman. I still don't. Many years later, Jay Leno, though, if someone pulled out a gun, I take the bullet for Jay.
So he was kind and supportive of your part in that?
Beyond kind, beyond gracious.
Wow.
I ended up producing an animated Christmas movie. He narrated it for us. I mean, it was really
wow. Yeah.
It was outside of his bailiwick, but he did it because he's a nice person. He's a nice guy. So that was something, but that was a long makeup job too. Yeah, hours.
Wow. Was that the longest makeup job you had been in?
Yeah, I would say yes. It wasn't the longest day. No, I've been maybe 5-6 hours on Wild Boar. I think when we put the makeup on a few times, it took a little longer. On Halloween 2, they had to. I worked like 27 hours one day from the time that I got there in the morning till when they got the makeup off me was the next day, 2 hours after I reported to work. Yeah, and I've got something I'm gonna just drive people crazy and say that there's a thing coming up. I leave on Friday for Budapest, Hungary, and it's an extraordinary opportunity for a Monsterkid, and I can't say anything more about it than that. But when it comes out, what I'm doing, you guys are going to be like, I hope people are happy, and I hope they realize that me being able to do it that's for all of us. Like, only one of us could do it, and I'm the guy who gets to do it. When I say
you deserve whatever it is.
Deserve it's not a word I ever use. We're in a society now where people say deserve and what's fair, and there's nothing. We don't deserve anything but the ability to serve God in this great world of ours. That's all we get. He gave us life, and we got to make the most of it. So I don't deserve what I'm getting, but I am going to make the most of it, and I'm going to bring honor to the memory of what I'm doing.
Wow. Well, I look forward to that one, whatever it is. Because
It's
I
great.
mean, if nothing
It's so
else, you're
good.
an amazing ambassador to Monster Kids everywhere. Now, is that the channel of peace?
Well, no, this is we're making this. This is I can't even say the name of the company because it might tip it. Uh,
So it's not even on your coming attractions or
no,
anything. This
no,
is
nobody. It's a top secret project
oh wow.
known about
Well,
for a year and a half. We've been postponed twice because of this thing called COVID. But
yeah.
finally getting to it.
Well, safe travels on that for sure. And you take all of our hearts with you in this. I know already.
Thank you, Scott.
Um, but what an amazing thing. And you know, uh I want to talk to you about a film that my family has seen recently. I know it's been out for a while, but as far as you talk about the spirit and I'm sure, judging by the work and the choice that you do, that's very much at the forefront. But I have to ask you about Getting Grace,
Oh
because
yes.
this was such a fine bit of cinema, and
Oh,
you wore all the hats in that film. Wrote it or co-wrote it,
who wrote it?
directed, and you were the lead. I
Ever.
mean, amazing, amazing piece of film. And I would implore the fans that are watching to check it out. It's not your typical. There are moments of such joy in that film, though. It's hard to watch. It's so hard to watch. But there are so many moments of just you catch yourself not breathing almost.
Oh, Scott, thank you. So, for the people, if they don't know, Getting Grace is about a teenage girl who's dying of cancer, and she goes into a funeral home to find out what's going to happen after she dies. But she ends up teaching the funeral director how to celebrate life. It is a life affirming comedy set in the world of death and dying. Just so it's the Jeff Lewis, the original screenwriter, who let me piggyback into his idea and co-wrote it with him. Um, he came up with that great idea of the juxtaposition, excuse me, of uh, of a guy who deals with death, who's you know just divorced from living life, and a girl who's gonna die, who is the ambassador for living life fully
Mhm.
in a moment.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you about that too, because
Yes.
Bill, your character in that film, he has a point in the story, and I don't want to give a lot away, but he spills his soul. And you can't, for me, that was not to insult anything else you've done, but that was probably the finest acting I've ever seen you in. Was that scene where you're opening your heart to her and telling her what made you who you were? I was in tears. That was amazing. Where does that come from?
Scott, are you a dad?
Yes.
That's so. That scene in particular is very powerful for dads. And I'm getting a little emotional just thinking about the scene because what it really is, Scott, it's a girl picking her dad.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
any of us who have gone through that process, we are societally, let's say, a lot of attention is given to mothers and mothers and mothering and mother, and all that's important. My mother is extraordinarily important to the person I am, and I hate to say though, equally as my father. Uh, and they represent two different facets of our humanity, our maleness and our femaleness and our maleness. No matter what body we live in, we have this. We just are imprinted with both of them. And my work is often about this next movie and the movie after this, the Hail Mary that we're going to shoot this summer, and we just did this movie Lucky Louie. It's about fathering, and it's just something that I think we forget, that those when there's a person who kills a lot of people, it's the thing that they always find that they have in common. 85-95% of the time is they were not fathered.
Yeah.
And we're the ones who's, that's why the mothers get to be like, I love you, I love you, I love you, love you. And the fathers are like, are you an idiot? What's the matter with you? Don't do that. Only idiots do that. And, that, or maybe that was just my father. But
no, that was mine as well. And I think that might be a North thing versus South thing, because my dad was from the Bronx. Yeah. So yeah, I got that French Flintstone raising too.
They tell you what's what, and that's important. So Getting Grace is really about a child choosing her father, and that kind of gives a little away. But I mean, people should see it. It's on Hulu. You could see it for free on Hulu, or for $1.99 or $2.99. You could buy it on Amazon Prime, or you could buy it on Apple TV or any of those things. But it's it's a comedy, but have the tissues there too.
Yes.
Also, Scott, I think if I could say, just based on the feedback, because I would never have had the hubris to say, I'm going to make a movie that's so important about this subject of pediatric cancer. People who've lived through this horror, or have lost people through it, their comments are very, very positive that it is a very realistic movie.
Yes.
But it's a movie that you could maybe watch with your kids if you've had the discussion about death and dying, or it's a good movie to watch with kids 8 years old and up, I would say, because there's kids in it. And kids love this movie. Kids and old people love this movie more than anybody.
My 10-year-old son just watched this with us, and he laughed at the right times, and he got really quiet during other times. And the thing is that it was so thought-provoking. I think that it could break through to him. He has his own issues too. He is on the spectrum, and yet he picked out those scenes. So bravo to everyone involved in that, because it was so perfect.
Thank you. If people see it and they love it, and they could go to Rotten Tomatoes and say they love it. They could go to IMDb and say they love it. If you don't love it, maybe tomorrow's the day you turn off the computer. Because if you give it, like on these things, if you go, well, I kind of liked it, unless you give it a 10, it just pushes the number down. But
and I know it'll only appeal to a certain folk. But I'll tell you what, man, for those that I just wish you continued success with movies like that, because that was so human. And I know we talk about monsters all the time on this show, but my gosh, that was just too phenomenal to pass up without saying thank you for making such a wonderful film. And the entire cast was perfect. Absolutely perfect.
I discovered that girl, Madeline Dundon, in Bethlehem. I discovered her out of my high school. Bethlehem Catholic High School. I was going to wait. That's the problem with being 58 and not 59. Well, maybe not. I was going to just say that I think people who like horror movies, there's still, there's a lot of caskets in it, and we're in a funeral home a lot. And I had the most amazing guy I went to high school with. Dimitri Heron and his sister were our funeral consultants. So there is a sense of the macabre around the story. And we really worked hard to get all of that right. The funeral home stuff is extraordinarily authentic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And, I could go on about this film forever and ever. There was one other scene that I have to thank you for, and it was the scene where they're having the viewing and the kids are there.
Yeah.
This was one of my favorite scenes in the film, because instead of it going one way that you totally think it will, it goes the entire opposite way. And again, kudos. I can't say enough about this film. It was just amazing.
Please, people, go see it, watch it, enjoy it. You can track me down. I see that Our brilliant producer says you can find me at danielroebuck.com. The truth is, one of my dearest friends, Scott Brunel, was the guy who put danielroebuck.com together. And he passed away. And you can see exactly when he passed away because danielroebuck.com is a memorial to that moment because we didn't really do anything after it. But where monster fans would enjoy if they go to danielroebuck.com, on the bottom it says House of Horror. You could see what my collection looked like about 10 years ago. It was about 10 years ago that I had an epiphany. I was at my son Buster is he's the athlete I never was. And he played every game, every sport. And I was leaving a football game of his. And my past wife said, where are you going? And I said, I got people coming in from wherever, I don't know, Wisconsin to see the toys. And she was like, oh, all right. And then right after that, like within weeks of that, I had this, I thought, oh my God, I'm leaving my son's 13-year-old life to go relive my 13-year-old life. And I felt very bad about it. It didn't mean that I didn't want to collect. It just meant that I wanted to move collecting to a more appropriate place in my life.
Some balance.
Yeah. I was spending a lot of time with it. And, that was at the height of like the Universal Monster Army and Halloween Mask Association. And so we were all excited to know each other and meet each other. And we were spending a lot of time. That was before anybody had Facebook or anything. So you were spending a lot of time promoting the idea of monsters and your collection and your pride in your collection. And it was just taking a lot of my energy away. And once I got rid of that, well, I've directed 2 movies, co-directed this last one with my daughter. I've written, I've produced, we've done documentaries. I mean, what I've accomplished since getting away from being strapped to my collection is extraordinary. But, when people see, I show, I kept the stuff I love the most. I mean, I still have stuff here. And I thought this event would be fun for me to come into this room to do. I usually don't do these podcasts. I do them in one of our other rooms. But I thought this was important. So because it's Monster Manor and there's monster makeup kits.
Yes.
So, see, it says Monster.
Well, I'm honored that we got to share it because, we really, and it was a near miss. When we did Gillibration, we really wanted to have you there, if nothing but to just see.
We got to do it again.
Yeah, we definitely are working on that. And a good friend of mine, James Michael Roddy, we are talking about maybe making this extend past, because this is the bookends. We started with 1954 with Creature from the Black Lagoon, and now we're at the 65th anniversary of The Creature Walks Among Us. So beyond that, we have to keep that legacy alive, because I feel that the classic monsters, they're fantastic windows to the past. They have inspired so many people. We got to remember it.
Yeah, and I mean, there's, aside from that, Creature from the Black Lagoon and Revenge of the Creature from the Black Lagoon are 2 really great movies. I mean, they're just, they're just well done movies.
Yes.
Creature Walks Among Us, admittedly didn't have this, it just, but, when you watch, especially Revenge, if you get to really see it in 3D, I mean, the 3D is great.
Yeah. Yeah, technologically, it was fantastic. The acting, not that it wasn't great in the first one, but in the second one, we had John Agar. We're going to have his son on our next show in 2 weeks. It was a really well done. Plus, it was done in Marineland, which is not too far away from where we are. Marineland, Florida. So that one is a close thing to me. And we live like 5 minutes from Silver Springs, where it was actually filmed parts of, and very, very blessed to live in this area too. I can't preach about it enough.
Yeah, that's. I remember I was because I thought you were at Wakula Springs for the thing, and I thought I was the other end. But then I was at Universal the day of the Gillibration, and there was a guy with the shirt. I was like, "How did you get here already?" And the guy goes, it's only like an hour and a half away. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Serious?
We had people make a whole weekend out of that.
Well, when we got to get, we didn't get him on this, but we'll get John Gilbert, the Arizona Gill man, who is the creature. I mean, with all due respect to everybody, when Ben Chapman, somebody come up and they'd say, Ben, what month did you shoot the film in? And Ben would go, and John would go, June. I just made that up. I don't know what month they really shot it in. But Gilbert knew everything about the creature from the Black Lagoon. And Benny,
wow.
Benny, who is a personal friend. I mean, it's nothing. You haven't lived life till Ben Chapman stays at your house.
Yeah.
I can't even do, because this is a podcast. How Ben talked, he made us laugh morning till night. I
was fortunate enough to meet him once at Chiller in Jersey, and he and Sarah Karloff made that weekend for me because they're beautiful, so real.
Yeah,
just warm and great. I'm sorry.
No, they're beautiful people, and I apologize. I too am a bit on the spectrum, and I'm not making a joke. I am, so I have a problem with interrupting. I'm sorry about that. They are really nice people. Benny, I'll tell one very quick Ben Chapman story. We were driving from this Academy Library, and we were having a great day, and it was me and Chuck Williams, Bob Burns, Ben Chapman, John Gilbert. We're all in my van, and we see something. Chuck and I see something on the road in front of us, and Chuck and I we're like Batman and Robin. We see someone in need, baby. We jump out. So we pull the car over and we jump out. And the only other person who gets out is Ben Chapman. At that point, he had to be 78, 79 years old. And he goes, what are we doing? And I said, this guy's stuck in the road. We're going to push his car out of the road. He goes, oh, I thought we were going to rumble. So, by the way, Bob Burns, hiding in the car. John Gilbert, hiding in the car. If we were going to rumble, the only guy who had our back was the 79-year-old Ben Chapman. I thought, and he was ready to go. Oh, what do we get? He thought it was West Side Story,
Just point him in the direction.
Yeah. Oh, I'll take care of it. Oh, God. Oh, hey. Oh, I'll take care of it. Oh, hey.
And if there was a rumble, the person that got beat down would be able to say, I got beat down by the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, he'd be like,
how iconic.
Hey. Yeah, he'd be like, oh, don't make a big deal out of it. The guy was a creature from the Black Lagoon, okay?
Yes.
You see what he did to those guys? He put his hand on their face and he'd go, Arr! And then they were dead.
Made a Tomas out of him.
When the mummy would be like, Arr! And he would knock someone over and they'd be dead. I thought, my God, these poor people in the 1940s. They were very fragile.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That's a great story. I know we're coming up at the end of our hour together.
May I come back another time?
We're almost at 45 minutes already.
No, may I come back another week?
Are you kidding? You're asking? Yes. Yeah. Anytime. I would be honored.
Maybe when I'm done with this top secret magical thing, I can come back and we can talk about it.
Oh my gosh, you just made my night. That's awesome. Thank you so much. And I know our fans are absolutely going to, eat that up. So thank you.
I'm grateful for the time you gave me. I'm sorry that I tell long-winded stories. But I want everybody to remember, let's saw it here. I wear the same shirt 40 years apart, 45 years ago.
Wow. Yeah.
It was a blessing to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And definitely next time I gotta get you on Dr. Shocker because I want to hear all about how that came to be as well.
Oh yeah, we had a good time with all that. Very good. I'd love to talk to you again.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right.
And best of luck. Best of luck on your trip as well. Please keep us posted. I think we lost. Oh, there he is.
I'll keep you posted.
Oh, thank you very much, Daniel.
God bless everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So that is Daniel Roebuck. It's an honor to have him on the show, and he wants to come back. So, what a blessing to have him back as well, because we didn't get to Rob Zombie, we didn't get to Dr. Shocker. So that's a part 2, I guess. So you heard it here first. Now we have our good friend Boris. He's coming in for a very special treat for our monster family here. Before we go there, I do want to mention a couple of things, though. First off, we do have a Patreon now, and Boris is going to fill you in on a little bit more of the details there. You're going to want to stick around and look at both our YouTube page as well as our Facebook page, because we've got some major announcements that are coming down the pike for that. Boris is going to go into a nice little show for you now. So without further ado, Boris.
Really? Another one you got to follow that. The Hollywood icon Daniel Roebuck and Boris stuck outside. Locked out, by the way. They locked them out.
We locked you out because you touched the things.
Boris wouldn't have touched nothing if the Daniel Roebuck could have said, "Hi, Daniel Roebuck, you love you," but no.
Just read the disclaimer.
Boris memorized disclaimer because he got new bits. He's going to show you. Disclaimer is, again, whatever come out this ugly mouth is Boris' fault. Don't blame the fence to post, the ugly producer lady, the little fence posts, Monster Manor House, or Maxwell House Coffee, anything like that. But just blame Boris. He got the Facebook's page. You're right. Hey, Boris, you made it's insulted me, and Boris goes, "Too bad," and then he cut off. Boris Vigansky sounds like it's spelled. Hello, dog. The dog come out. Hello, doggy. Boris let the dog out. Whoop, whoop. What now, Boris? Oh, so Boris got a new bit. It's called Producer Lady Jokes. There's 3 facts about the Boris going to tell you about Producer Lady every week. Okay? Fact number 1, Producer Lady, the only person in the world that can slam a revolving door. Fact number 2, Producer Lady doesn't climb trees. The producer lady so mean she pulled the trees down and walk on top of them. Goodbye, doggy. Make Boris break character. Stop it. Number 3, the producer lady doesn't sleep. She waits. And that's the 3 facts on producer lady. We're going to come back more as it goes on, unless you punch him in the face and you forget it. Anyway, Boris was like, okay, what do we do this week? Because the fight was last week. And Nosferatu saw the one, but really Gilman, Rico Browning won, and they turned down Stanley, who said Excelsior went out and did something else. So we got nothing this week, and then Boris walked in, and he finds this box. This box in the don't touch Boris section. This is a monster machine from the 1970s, where you can make a little monster head. Mm-hmm. This was like, you can be a fence maker in your own house, and you got the monsters in here, and there's stuff in there, but Boris is kind of, there wasn't any, like, instructions. So anyway, hope that wasn't valuable. Anyway, you make this kind of head here. It's either like this stuff called Monster Muck. We're going to show that to you in a minute. This is like Mr. Jekyll, or Dr. Jekyll, excuse me, PhD, MD, and then there's Mr. Hyde. Now what you do is you get the Monster Muck. The Monster Muck here is the Monster Muck. Probably like plaster casting compound. Ooh, sounds very, advanced for the 70s. Casting, probably plaster. But anyway, you put the Monster Muck in these little, no, not that. This. Put them in here. These little molds, right? You got the mold in the front and the mold in the back, and they clip together like this, and you put the muck in there. And then you take this and grab that. You put them in this little medieval torture device. You snap it in here, and then you got a little thingy. So then you take this and you do this for about 4 hours. And by that time, you're like 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 years old. You don't care. I'm going to do this forever. And the thing, what it does is it rotates. Watch, it rotates. And then it moves the clay around and stuff. And you get the monster muck. And then, usually the little Evil Knievel shoot out if you're old enough to know about what the Evil Knievel. But this is a monster muck. And then you kind of leave it like this. And it dry. And then what happens is, you get this. Which is your completed figure. About 2 hours worth of that, and you get, wow, this is nice, right? And you're like, well, what do I do with it? So you can paint it. You can leave it white like a statue. You can paint it any color you want. It didn't come with the paints, though. You had to go buy paint separately, like the batteries. But you could do this. It did like the Frankenstein, had the Bigfoot eating the turkey leg, this and that, the alien. I think the alien head was in the thing with the borders. But this is nice, and it's durable. Fenstermaker got some up on there, and he pulled one down to show you. Like, it's nice. And you play with it and everything. And then, you like it, Fenstermaker? You like this? And it's really good. And Boris didn't do that. Boris did not do that. It's gravity's fault. It was too much gravity pulled out the hand.
People have to walk on this floor,
Well, that's why you have a broom or a Roomba. So that was the Monster Maker. Apparently shoddy clay. The Monster Muck wasn't like, resin. So good thing it went out of business, right? But this was...
This is why we don't let you touch the things. This is why you have a box on the lawn that you stand in. You're getting billed for that, sir.
You don't pay Boris. How are you going to pay you back?
Figure it out. You got a job for the master.
You know what Boris gonna? But my masters don't pay. Boris gonna. You know what he'll do? He'll sell that floppy arm thing you poached last week because the floppy arm fish man. He'll sell that and then he'll pay you back.
Did you take the gill man with you?
Well, you didn't take it back. And again,
you're getting billed for that too.
You get the money back, so it's not like a bill. Murray's House of Shovels did that last thing. So Bill Murray's House of Shovels. If you had the shovel, you can pick that up. Sweep it in the shovel. You know what? Boris is owed money by Tammy Amy's. We're still not really talking to Tammy Amy, but she stole the money. And Orlando Collector Deviant said in their show they give Boris 75 cents, so they can give it to you because that's probably about 75 cents worth of Monster Muck. So Trish Steve just write the check to Amber, producer lady, and Scott Fence the boner, and they say, sorry, we got the broken, and this is for Boris. Ta-da! And we got the... Why are you waving it? Stop waving it, Boris! The whole time, the thing, if Boris could show behind the camera, Fence to make it stand there, and he can do this all the time. Because it's crap taped to the back. Okay.
I'm just trying real hard.
What fuels your... Okay, so Boris is going to take the... If not acting, what are you going to do, Fence to Maker? If you want an actor, what do you... Oh, Boris read the wrong list. Okay, so Boris supposed to talk about Patreon. Scott Fenstermaker, actually, Scott Fensterer, he's on the Monster Manor site at Monster Manor with Scott Fensterer on Patreon. If you want to support the show and pay for the crap Boris break, you can throw him a couple dollars. There's different levels. There's even one that gives Boris to greet you, like, hey, Boris going to say something to you once every 3 months. And, if you don't like Boris, you send them to your friends and they'll insult them. You just write what you want Boris to say and insult, and Boris insult. But it's a nice thing. It's going to, fix everything that the Boris break. Let's Fence to make it buy, other things like a sound system so we don't get a little thing and the lights, maybe pay Boris or something. Or no, you know what, the little dancing girls. But it's the Patreon. You all know that the Patreon work. It's Monster Man with Scott Fenster on the Patreon. Second, we got the YouTube dedicated channel. So you go to the YouTubes and it's no longer on Scott's Toy Box. It's on Monster Man 1313. You got to do 1313 and get some of the Monster Man show that's not as good. And you won't see Boris or Fence to making corny jokes like Warp Speed. Good thing you didn't say nothing to Mr. Roebuck. Because Boris watch outside and the thing and you make the little comment, see where they got you. And then on the 28th this month, we're going to the Olo Comic and Toy Show. Boris is going to be there. Don't give him nothing because he probably break it. Orlando's Collected Deviants invite Boris and the Fence the Monster Maker on the 28th. Is from 10 to 4 at the Orlando Fairgrounds. It's a whole little comic and toyshow.com. Stop pointing, Boris can read it. And then again, they put on the bottom Patreon, so Boris probably to mention it twice. Go to Patreon, Monster Man and Scott Fester. And we got one, our first people, Robin Heather Gordon, gave joined they drank the Kool-Aid and joined the Patreon. So thank you, Robin Heather Gordon, for being the first Patreons to actually pay for a Boris break. Last week, Dr. Peggy's house of the alligator thing was closed down. They lost 2 people that weren't supposed to, so that's pending investigation. So don't go to Dr. Peggy's petting zoo yet. But there is Turnip Con in Bavaria right now. There's Turnip Con. What? Oh.
Phantasm. We have to talk about Phantasm.
What do you mean we? Okay, Phantasm. Phantasm is a convention in Orlando this October.
October 1st.
October 1st, 2nd, 3rd is the lady saying the sign language. Monster Man are going to be there in some way. Again, we can't talk about it. It's 9, Fence to buy him over there. He's talking in behind closed doors. Don't tell Boris nothing. There's just, we're talking about it. Shh. When we tell you when we want you to know. So, but we're going to be there. Boris may be there, if they let him. But Fence to Heim are going to be there and do his maybe makeup. Maybe tell you a story about how Boris break things. Producer lady going to show you how to punch somebody or throw a shoe at them. They may show you the great value piece that Boris held up in his face. Or just how to, do this. Tell you, look, we do Monster Manor. And you put the Craigslist and get the dumb butler to come and do the last 15 minutes of the show and everybody want to make a fee break. So anything else, your Highness Lordships, that Boris got to say? Because he's down to 10 minutes of do this and then, how hawk everything on the Monster Man.
Well, what would you like to talk about, Boris?
Well, Boris gonna got the new friend is the Mummy Monkey. He's in negotiations with Mummy Monkey and his agent. Because apparently the man dollies are not puppets. This is a living puppet that Boris can have and like sidekick. Like you got producer lady sidekick. Mummy Monkey know the Kung Fu and the Krav Maga, and he may protect Boris from the producer lady.
No monkeys in the studio, Boris.
He's a nice monkey. He's good.
Monkeys throw their poop.
This one, he's got the wrapped. He's monkey mummies. His head done dead. Shriveled up behind hole. It's okay. He threw his poop.
Smell like stinky, shriveled up, desiccated monkey poo in my studio.
You have a 6-year-old wander around, smell like smelly hobo person, and you worried about the monkey? The monkey more hygienic than your 2 kids, the 10-year-old and the 6-year-old.
Those kids came out of me. The monkey did.
Well, that's the monkey got the advantage, doesn't it? Because the monkey doesn't smell like foot. First, Boris walk in, foot. And that's the little one. She look like, the little one look like, you ever see Mad Max? That little kid throw the boomerang. That's what the little 6-year-old look like.
Tammy's Yammies is recommending we throw shoes at you now.
Oh, that's okay. You know what?
Because you spit on her Yammies.
You're not. She gonna get, that's fake news. Okay, Boris, spit on the door, not on the Yammies, because Boris know you spit on the food. That's the felony. You only spit on the door. That's a misdemeanor. That's like trespassing. Putting on the door is trespassing. Misdemeanor. That's like criminal mischief is misdemeanor. It's a felony. So you don't spit on the food. You spit on the thing. Remember, people lick the ice cream. They go to jail. You don't do that. You spit on the ice cream door, the pui, and then nothing happened. See, so Tammy, Boris watch people score. Boris watch Judge Judy. He know what he talk about. So stop making the fake stuff.
Oh, yeah, you knew so much when you filed a restraining order.
It did. 50 yards. You got to be in the backyard.
You can go to the backyard where it's raining.
Guys, let's just get along.
You know what?
This is Boris.
Bud out.
He's still got it.
Do you want the piece?
That's right. Bud out. You're going to get punched in the face by the lady.
Announce next week's show.
There's no show next week. Aha, gotcha. In 2 weeks? That's a trick question. He's not even paying attention to his own show. That's how enthralled he was with Daniel Roebuck, he didn't forget there's no show next week. Make Boris show up and stand out in the yard for 4 hours. Hey, what's up? And he come out drinking coffee. Well, there ain't no show. So in 2 weeks, John Agar III is going to come and talk about the Gilberation with his dad, John Agar Jr., a big star in Hollywood. He done the horror movies. He done the Revenge of the Creature. He done Sans Iwo Jima still. Outside Daniel Roebuck's work and Michael Betterman work, still one of the best movies out there. Best movie out there because it's the Marines attacking Iwo Jima. And then we got stuff after that, but he don't tell nobody because he didn't. Right now he's doing the cowboy. Yeehaw, urban cowboy. You know, you could just say, you know, write on the thing or have the producer like wrap it up. Why you got to do like, you know, this is what Boris' life is. This is Boris. Point. Then the this. And then the producer lady yell. So the Wawa, and they didn't buy no for Boris at the Wawa, and he had to go by himself and then go to Publix and wait 3 hours for a sub, and then they didn't have the tuna. Son of a